Welcome back, everybody. This is Lee Yang's podcast. Thank you for joining me this week. Well, I have another guest that was from one of my last episode. Welcome back, Jessica.
Hello.
How you doing?
You. I'm good. How are you?
Anything new?
A lot of new things, yeah. We'll get to talking about them today.
So let's just get this out of the way. What happened to the big old bump in your belly, girl?
Well, I had my baby. He was born in May, at the end of May, so he's here now.
You want to intro him to everybody? Name,
Yeah,
age?
I can introduce him. So his Hmong name is S2E2, and English name is Anthem, and he's Hmong Hyung, so S2E2 Anthem Hyung. And like I said, he was born end of May. I'll just keep his birth date private. And yeah, he's been with us here for, it'll be 2 months this Saturday. So it's been great.
Well, okay, let me ask some of the specific details. How heavy was he? And how long was he? That's what everybody's going to want to know,
so labor
right?
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he was 8 pounds and 6 ounces. He was 20 inches long. And my labor was actually really quick and easy. So
Wait, was it?
It was, yeah. I can't complain. So I'll
No
talk.
epidural, or do you want to talk about
Nope.
that later?
I mean, I could talk about it now. So yeah, even if I wanted an epidural, baby came so fast, it wouldn't have kicked in anyways.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was born on a Monday. So Sunday I started having contractions in the morning, but I had never had them before. So I was expecting this like sharp pain, but it was more just like a pressure, like uncomfortable feeling. So I was just like, oh, okay, maybe it's just, I don't know, like I'm constipated or something like that. So I tried to use it in the bathroom. Nothing came out, obviously. Sorry, TMI. But I had never experienced contractions before. So I called my mom, and she's just like, well, they're probably Braxton Hicks. So just time them, you know, because if they come every like 3 to 5 minutes and they're like 60 seconds or longer, it's the real thing. And so I was timing the whole day, and it became that way around 3 or 4 o'clock. But again, it wasn't painful. So I was just like, I just don't think these are contractions. So I called triage, my nurse line, and they were just like, well, take a Tylenol. If they go away, then it's probably the Braxton Hicks. But if not, it's probably the real thing.
Yeah, can you explain what that is?
Braxton Hicks?
Yeah.
So those are just, they're contractions, but they're kind of like fake contractions where it's preparing your body to experience the contractions that actually happen when you have baby.
Okay.
So they're kind of like practice contractions. So some women get them, some don't, and I never got them at all. So this was like the first time ever I had any type of contraction. So I was like, oh, maybe it's the fake contractions, because I still had like a week left. So baby came a little bit early. But yeah, so I called triage. They told me to take a Tylenol. And if they go away, then they're probably the fake Braxton Hicks contractions. If not, then they're probably real. So I took a Tylenol, and I waited for an hour. They still didn't go away. But I was just like, but it's not like painful where I feel like I have to go in. Because sometimes, you know, I heard stories where if you call them ahead, or if you go in and you're not like dilated enough, they're going to send you home anyways.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to like, you know, bear through it. And it wasn't that bad. So I try to like, so it was like 5 o'clock, 5 to like 8. It was every like 3 to 5 minutes, but it was bearable. So I was just kind of like walking around the house, trying to like just take my mind off of the uncomfortable feeling. And then I tried going to sleep. So from like 8 to like 10, I was like, I got some sleep, but you know, they came every 3 to 5 minutes and they lasted for like a minute. So it was uncomfortable. And then finally between like 10 to midnight, they got pretty intense. And so I woke up Chueseng, my husband, and I was like, okay, we have to go to the hospital now. I think these are the real thing because they're not going away and we should probably just go. And so we went, we got to the ED. So we went to Freighter Adult ED. And then from there, we waited for like another 30 minutes for them to transport us to Children's Hospital because that's where I was giving birth. And once we got there, we got put into a triage room. So it was about 1:30 at this time. And then they checked me, and I was about 3 centimeters dilated. And then they were like, well, we're going to wait another 2 hours to see if you dilate more. So we waited another 2 hours. It was getting intense again. And then when they came to measure me, I was 6 centimeters. And so, again, you have to be 10 to give birth or to start pushing. And so I was at 6, and then right then and there, my water broke.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I dilated to a 9 in 20 minutes. And so they finally moved me into the delivery room. And they were like I felt the urge to push. Like when any woman who gets pregnant, any woman out there listening who gets pregnant, like you will feel the need to push when it's time to push. And so I felt the need to push, but I wasn't at a 10 yet. And so they were like, don't push yet. Like, just blow away the pain. I'm like, I cannot blow away this pain right now. Like, I need to put. Well, it wasn't pain; it was pressure. Like, I need to push.
It's pressure, not pain.
For
and
me,
the
yeah.
pressure
For me, it was pressure.
tells you need a push.
Yeah, like
Okay.
they were telling me like to hold that pressure. I'm like,
They
I
didn't give
cannot.
you any medication.
No,
Nothing.
no medication. So we were in the delivery room, and then anesthesia came, and then I had already told him that I wanted to do a natural birth. But anesthesia came anyways, and then literally when he left, I think he was a resident. When he left, like I already started pushing. So even if I wanted epidural, I wouldn't have had time to get it and to have it kick in. So yeah, once we got into the delivery room, I was just like, I just started pushing, and then baby came out in I think about 15 minutes after like 5 pushes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What?
It was super fast. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I got lucky because
I was gonna say.
I heard a lot of horror stories about, women having long labors and
Especially being your first too.
yeah. So I think it's the fact that everyone psyched me out about like, oh, you're probably the first one's always the worst, it's the longest, so just prepare for it. So I was like just preparing for it, but it turns out that it happened to be probably the easiest labor. So now I'm just like all my kids following, like I have high expectations now. They're gonna come out and like, but yeah. So baby was born at 5 in the morning, 5:18.
Okay.
So we got to the hospital at like 12:45, 1, and then baby came out at 5:18. So.
You're a natural.
This is controversial, but it's not that bad. It's the pressure. It's just a lot of pressure. It's not necessarily pain. But again, this is just my first baby. We'll see how the second, third,
I'm sure,
goes.
as you know, as a medical student, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Zalee, she had a cesarean with Tristan. With Neil, she had a natural birth. It took her 8 hours to have Neil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I was there. She's on her side. She's breathing. She's walking. She's doing everything she needed to do to get Neil out. And Neil came out to be 8 pounds something in her little body.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. No, it's crazy and amazing how women's bodies can just accommodate and do all of this. Like it's now having experienced it, I'm just like, wow.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Motherhood, right?
Yeah, still do,
I know.
But yeah.
Well, and I want to ask Vauv about fatherhood too, but obviously I can have a private conversation with him because we know he doesn't want to come on. But as you know what? A lot of my guests are females. Do you know why?
Because I don't know.
Because they're willing to talk.
Right. I was gonna say because we're comfortable talking.
Most
we
guys.
We have more to say.
I know you do, because guys don't tend to have a lot of things to say. I guess I'm the exception because it's my podcast, right? I have something to say. But anyway, motherhood. I know. When I first became a father, when we first had Tristan, and it was kind of a weird sensation for me to be a dad. The emotions of it, because I wasn't prepared. Obviously, you've been prepared for, I don't know, however long that you and Vauv have been married, right? Because you guys are planning to have Anthem. But I wasn't. And to have a newborn, it's like, oh, man, this is so weird. It's not weird for you. Is it a natural thing? How do you feel about it now that you have an additional person to care for, another responsibility?
Yeah, we have been preparing for it, so you are right there. But I think it surprises anyone that becomes a parent. Like, you can prepare as much as you can, but until you are a parent, like, in the moment, honestly, nothing really prepares you for that. So I remember getting my nursery ready, like, in a little corner of our room. And now it's just like a big whole mess because, having a newborn, you're just kind of like, fluids flying everywhere, like dirty clothes and dirty diapers and bottles everywhere. And my hands are so, like, dry and chapped because I'm just washing bottles all the time. And so I think we try to prepare as much as we could, but I think now being parents, I kind of was like, oh, I wish I didn't do this or didn't do that because it was a waste of time. I didn't even need this or didn't need to do that. So it's just things you kind of learn on the fly. But yeah, for a while, I was just kind of like, it feels like I'm babysitting like a baby, but I just can't give the baby back to the parents. I'm like, it's my baby. So
Funny.
I'm like watching the baby all the time, I think waking up at night has been the biggest challenge for me because I love to sleep. But I'm also, I'm breastfeeding as well and pumping, more so pumping. And I never knew that breastfeeding itself was a whole entire like
Oh, is it?
journey itself.
Yeah, because
it is.
we only, we use formula. And so Zali,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously she didn't breastfeed the kids. And so we
Yeah.
didn't have that luxury. But I guess it's not really a luxury for you, is it? Because you're up all the time.
Yeah. Well, because when baby was born, I still had a month left of school. So that was pretty rough.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty rough month. Because, man, like taking care of a baby, then, doing postpartum and recovering your own body, that was the biggest challenge for me.
Okay.
Is postpartum.
Is
for
postpartum
sure.
real for you?
And then having to also just study and like, again, like, I did fine. I did well this semester. I passed with a high pass. But my last exam, I was just kind of like, I don't even care if I fail this.
And you
like,
think that's part of postpartum?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
So
yeah.
is it different from woman to woman and how that manifests, I guess?
It can be for sure, yeah. But I think there are general symptoms that are similar. Like, I don't know how detailed you want me to get into this, but when you have a baby, like you're going to still be like bleeding a lot more because your body is getting rid of all the tissue and the lining that was surrounding baby when baby was in you. So
I didn't know that.
Your body is still healing. And so, and again, TMI, but aside from there still being a hole, like a bigger hole there, your body is just cleaning itself out. And so it's kind of like being on your period for like an additional 6 weeks after you give birth. And you're in pain still when you use the bathroom. It hurts. It's, because you tear down there. And so it's just painful. And
do you get irritated?
Yeah.
Like
you get
easily,
irritated.
huh?
Yep. You're tired. You're in pain down there, but you're also like breastfeeding too. If you're breastfeeding, you can become engorged. So like, your breasts get really hard and they hurt if you don't empty out your breasts.
Correct. Yes, I heard about that.
And so it's a lot of things that I just didn't realize. Like I always say now, like I will give birth like that, like a snap of your fingers. But what will stop me from having more kids is postpartum because it's so hard. For me, it was hard. Again, because this was all happening. Plus I had to take care of baby, even though Chueseng, helped me, he was, he's really great too. And then just studying as well for that last month, it was just hard. And then only eating chicken, the chicken diet, right?
Did you seriously?
Did I do it? Did I do it religiously?
Did you do it?
No, I didn't.
Of course not. I don't think. Okay, whoever's listening, that are mothers, who does?
I mean, I think there are the few that do it religiously for sure. But the first day I ate watermelon because my mom came to visit me in the hospital and she brought food for me and Chueseng and there was water.
Chicken.
Yeah, she brought me boiled chicken, but there's also watermelon, and she knows that I was just like the third trimester, I was just eating watermelon all the time. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, she brought me watermelon. So I ate a piece, and she was just like, that's not for you, that's for vauv. She's like, don't eat it. And I'm like, oops. So I had watermelon at the hospital the first day already, but no, I mean, I did eat boiled chicken as my main meals, but I did supplement and eat like fruit. And every now and then, if I wanted like ice cream or something, I ate it because I think it's important to give your body what it's craving. Especially if, I'm breastfeeding and all that too. Like I don't want my body to be stressed. And just eating chicken, while the broth is good for you, the herbs are good for you, like it's just not enough. It wasn't enough for me. It could be enough for other people, but for me particularly it wasn't. So I supplemented with other stuff.
But that's interesting that you brought that up because I never thought about that. Obviously, I'm not a woman and I don't talk to Zali about what she's eating afterwards, but you're right. It's the nutrition that a mom needs after giving birth because you're losing so much already in the process of giving birth.
It does help you lose weight, though, I will say. It does. So that was kind of nice.
Well, I'm glad Anthem is part of the family, and obviously he's upstairs and so we're looking forward to see what kind of addition he's going to give us.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's just going to be, I don't know, he's going to be a ball of energy, I feel.
Well, I would like to ask Vauv how he's feeling, but like I said, I'll ask him more of a private conversation. So, cool. All right. So let's jump into updates. Updates on medical school. All right. So, how is it going so far? You said that you finished that semester, the last month with baby. How is it so far? You're not in school now. You're getting ready, correct, to leave?
Yep. Nope, I'm done. So June 23rd was the last day of that last semester. So I'm on break right now, which has been great. But we are actually leaving next week to Grenada. So
At
we're
what day?
moving to the island Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Yep, the 28th. So we're leaving the 28th to go to the island for my last academic semester, which will end December 3rd. So we'll be there until, December 2nd. We'll be there until December 3rd. So we're moving to the island, which has been crazy in itself. And no, I have not started packing yet. But I can give a little bit of update on how that's all going. So this is going to be the last academic semester again. So after I finish this semester, then I will start rotations for the next 2 years.
And that's going to be back here in the States.
Back in the States, yep.
So before we jump on, okay, so last semester, what are you going to do there that you can't do here? Is it a lot of hands-on? Is it you're going through cadavers, or what is it that you're doing?
Yep. So the only reason why we were online is because of obviously COVID. Yep. And so once that actually, became more quote quote controlled, even though we have a new variant out right now. So last term I could have actually went to the island, but they gave us the option to stay online. So I stayed online because it was a lot cheaper.
And baby?
And baby, yes. And I was pregnant, so I was not going to be going to the island, and because I would have gave birth there, if I was actually.
Yes, we talked about
there,
that.
Yeah.
Who would have dual citizenship, wouldn't he? Or you didn't?
I don't know.
In a way.
That's a good. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't look it up, but regardless, yeah. So then this semester, because they felt COVID was a lot better controlled, they wanted their students to come back to the island. Which kind of goes along with all the other schools, not just in the Caribbean, but like here in the States too. Like, universities are back in person and all that too. So they wanted us back because we do hospital visits at their hospital in Grenada as well as a Term 5 student, we call it. Term 5 is the last academic term. And so that's what I'll be this semester.
How big is the
5.
hospital? It's not like St. Luke size, is it? Or have you not seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay.
But I know that all the T5 or Term 5 students are doing their hospital visit days during they do it during Term 5. So there's, I think our class is maybe 400 students, 500. It's pretty big. But yeah, and then we also do clinical skills as well. So they did offer that online last semester, but it just wasn't the same because
you need hands-on.
Yeah. So one of my exams was performing a physical exam. And so you can't really do that when you're online. So what we had to do is we had to verbalize it all, like what we would be doing.
Step by step.
Yeah, which is really tedious and a hassle because you're not verbalizing this when you're actually doing it to the patient. So I'm kind of glad that we're going in person because I'm able to do those physical exams actually on the patients versus verbalizing it. Like, for example, if I was going to listen to a heart sound, I would have to be placing my stethoscope on the, I don't know, the L1 position of, I'm just making this stuff up, just putting it here and then listening to this heart sound. So you have to verbalize it all, which is just kind of we don't do that, obviously, in real life. So it'll be kind of nice to just get on the island and actually practice on patients and on our classmates doing all these physical exams because that's what we're going to be doing in the clinic. So that's also a reason why they want students to come back to the island so that they get actually hands-on experience too.
So how long are you going to be at the hospital? Are you I'm thinking 10 hours, 12 hours, but how long are you going to be in there?
So that's more for when I start clinical rotations back here in the States.
All
but
right.
in Grenada, so we're still going to be doing we're still going to be studying. I think Term 5 is kind of different from the other semesters because in this term, they're preparing us to take the first part of our boards, which is called Step 1, the Step 1 exam. And so the first exam that we take is kind of the last part of all the information that we need to know. And then after that, we have, I think, 3 or 4 following exams, but these are going to be pretty much practice exams as if they were a Step 1 board exam. So they're preparing us to take this board because for SGU specifically, if we don't pass their version of the Step 1 board exam, then we can't take the actual one.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think that's just specific to SGU.
Okay.
Which I think is honestly some people don't like that, but I don't mind it because I think it's just kind of preparing you more anyways to take the step. But in here, the U.S. schools, you don't have to pass something in order to take it. You can just take it as long as you're a medical student, enrolled as a medical student. But in SU, they make you take their version first.
Wow. How often can you take their version?
So you have Term 5 you have to pass, and then their version is called the BSFCR, I believe. And if you fail that, you have to study and retake that again.
Okay.
But if you fail term 5 and you pass the BSFR, you still have to take term 5 again.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have to be passing term 5 plus the BSFR.
Term 5 meaning that you'll be there for another couple months.
I would have to be there again.
Yes.
So
okay.
So if I fail their version of STEP, I think I'm okay. As long as I pass term 5, I don't have to stay in the island. But if I pass term 5 and I don't pass the BSCFR, I think I'm saying that right. Then I at least I can like take off a month to study for that and take it again.
Can you take that back here in the States, or do you have to be there?
I think you can take it back here in the States.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll have to see how this semester goes. But this apparently
it's all new, obviously.
Yeah, this apparently is like the most challenging semester, so we'll see. But yeah, hospital visits are kind of incorporated in it. So you go like once or twice a week, and you're just going with your small group, and you're going to be paired up, I think, with like a physician at the hospital, and you kind of just round with them. So you're just going with them and doing the whole patient experience with them. So just kind of to get experience as well. And then we have our small groups too, which is where you're practicing the clinical skills. And then you also have, I think, small groups based off like pharmacology, physiology as well. So a lot of things.
So, but it's all hands-on. You haven't done any hands-on up to this point, right?
Nope.
So it's all hands-on. So within this next couple of months, it's all hands-on. So are you drawing blood? Do you do that? Or that's not something?
I don't think we have that actually as like a class, but I know a lot of clubs, they have like workshops where we can do all those things.
Okay.
So I think that will be offered in that way, but I don't know if we'll actually be drawing blood from each other. We may.
Blood pressure, obviously you do that.
Yeah, blood pressure, we do all that, but I don't, and more invasive things, I don't think
Well, it's okay.
we're going to be doing that.
That's why you have nurses.
I wasn't going to say that, but
you have
it
nurses.
is true. The nurse, like I have not seen one doctor, even working in the hospital, I have not seen a doctor put in like an IV line. It was just the nurses. maybe emergency docs.
Maybe. Well, yeah.
But yeah.
Depending on the field that they're in, I mean, if they're going to have to do it, it's a skill that they're going to need to learn.
Plus, honestly, I would trust a nurse to do it more anyways than the doctor.
Because they do it more often.
Yeah. The
I would
doctor,
agree.
I'll listen to for expertise and advice, but if someone's going to put an IV in me, it's going to be a nurse.
So classes, tests, hopefully everything goes well. You're back in the States, you do your rotation, right? So your rotation, I'm not sure when I'm going to have this conversation with you again. And obviously I would like to catch up to see where you're at when you're back in the States. But your rotations, you only have so many places to choose from, or like, how does that, because I know we kind of spoke about that once.
Yep. So a lot of the students at SGU are East Coast students. So a lot of their placements are like in New Jersey, New York. They have a lot in Florida. I think they have a lot in Cali as well. But in the Midwest, they don't have very many. I think they have one in Janesville, but they don't have all of the core rotations. So you have core rotations. So I think I should probably know all these, but there's like family medicine, there's that's not emergency. There's internal medicine, OBGYN, there's psychiatry, and there's pediatrics. I think there's one more I'm missing. And again, I don't know all these yet because I'm just focused on passing this term. So once they talk to us about the rotations, I'll know them a lot more. But those are like your core ones. So you have to do those. And then after you do those, you then get a chance to pick whatever rotation you want to do. So like if I wanted to do one in cardiology, I could do one. Or if I wanted to do one in, I think, emergency medicine, then I could do one. Or like in GI, I could do one.
But these rotations is supposed to help you kind of figure out what you want to do.
Yep. And these are actually like, this is real hands-on where you're just in the clinic. You're not doing any, like you're still studying because you still have exams to take, but you're not like in a classroom sitting down and just like studying from the books. Like you're actually like a student in the hospital, like rotating and seeing patients and presenting to your attendings and all of that. So
how do you test for that?
So they're called shelf exams. So you're tested in the specific rotation that you're rotating in. So like if you're doing OBGYN, the shelf exam will be just everything specific to that, like to OBGYN, and then you take that. So there's resources you can study from, and then of course you have your attendings and the residents and the fellows that are there that you can ask as well. But that happens at the end of your rotation, I believe.
Okay.
Yep. So that I'll still be, you're studying no matter what. And then you're also studying to take step 2 as well, because there's 3 steps to this board exam. And you want to be board certified. Because when you're looking up your physician and it says like they're board certified, because I took all 3 parts of those exams. So step 1, I would take probably in March. That's, just looking at the bright side of things. I could be taking it later too. It depends on how ready I feel. So when I get back from Grenada, I'll be back the beginning of December. And then from December until like March, I'll just be studying pretty much the entire
No classes,
time.
nothing.
To take.
Okay.
Well, I
Yeah.
think SGU still has you do some modules, but they're not like hardcore. Like you have to take an exam and study for this. So this is assuming I pass the BSCFR, their version.
Yeah.
And so when I pass that, then I can just go into what they call dedicated, which is when you're dedicated studying for STEP. And then I take that hopefully in March or April. And then if I pass that, I will then be able to start my rotations in May. And then I think I'm looking to do them in Chicago because Chicago has all of the rotations there. So I don't have to like move to different states to do my rotations because that would be a hassle too with baby. And then after that, again, I'm rotating for 2 years, and then I'll be able to apply for residency, hopefully get matched, and then when I graduate, become a resident and not practice, but train for another 3 years at minimum, and then I can become a doctor and practice on my own. So still got a long journey ahead of me.
My goodness, Jess.
Yeah, and maybe a couple of kids in between. But yeah, it's a lot, but I love medicine, so.
Well, I mean, I guess you have to, because here's the thing, and I'm not sure we kind of spoke about this last time, but if I'm going to have you be my doctor, I hope you went through all those steps, right? There's no shortcuts. You know what you need to do because it's my care.
Yeah.
It's my health, my body, and I hope that whoever my doctor is knows what they're doing, right?
Sure.
Because I think you kind of mentioned that during our last podcast, isn't it? That, well, I'll have to go back and listen, but just to have that understanding, that foundation, that knowledge of like everything that you need to know so that you can best provide but provide care for your patient. I think that's, and those steps are critical because at the end, if you're skipping steps, then, it's not benefiting the patient.
Yeah.
So.
No, you realize really early on that you should not go into medicine if you're just trying to get a high-paying job.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, high-paying job. Let me ask this. Okay, you don't have to disclose, but how much has it cost you so far?
A lot.
A lot, right?
Yeah, I'm in 6 digits in debt already with school. So plus I got my master's as well. Undergrad, luckily, I had my tuition paid for. But after I got my master's, that was debt. And then starting medical school now, there's debt there. And I'm just going to keep on getting debt.
Well, but that's part of, that's part of the game. Well, that's part of it, right?
It is.
It's not going to be any cheaper than, and the route that you took, is that,
it's more expensive.
Is it more or less?
More.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Going to a Caribbean medical school is more expensive.
It's unconventional, right?
Yeah, it is.
But it's more expensive because you're going to
the island.
I see.
Yep, and it is I believe, actually I don't know. I probably shouldn't say, but it's just a lot more expensive, and like you said, unconventional because mostly people would rather just wait a year to reapply again to get into a U.S. med school. But Caribbean med schools are a good option if you are super non-traditional like I am, and you have a family as well. But yeah, so yep, don't go into medicine if you just want to get rich. Like you have to literally love medicine. Like you have to love it, or else you're not gonna like your job.
You know what? I was thinking. I didn't tell Delee this, but because I'm really big into my nutrition, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about that, and I'm big into what I'm eating, what I put in my body. I thought about going back to school, to be honest, because that's a passion of mine. Because just to stay healthy and to kind of educate others around me. Obviously, that's all the stuff that I learned is like it's on YouTube or on Google, right? Mm-hmm. And you're laughing because you're right, because you're gonna get this too, Jess. If you're sitting there as their doctor and they're telling Jess, Dr. Yang, or Dr.
You consult Dr. Google?
Yes. Like I talked to Google, Dr. Google, and Dr. Google said this, and you're like, well,
WebMed, WebMD.
I talked to my doctor about that, and he's like, well, you should just take those for a grain of salt because there's more to it than just that. Anyway, regardless, but you have to have some passion in doing what you're doing,
You do. I mean, there's long hours. A lot of times, Like when I was still working as a scribe full time, like there would be times where I just didn't know what time I was going to be coming home. And I was just being a scribe. It wasn't even being like a doctor yet.
Yeah.
And Chueseng, I think, just got used to me not being home at a certain time because I couldn't tell him. Like I can't tell him I'm going to be home at 4:30. It really depends on if a patient comes in last minute or if we stay with a patient too long or an emergency, a medical emergency happens. Those are just things that you have to be comfortable with. If you want an 8 to 4:30 job, then medicine is not for you.
It's not.
No.
And especially your spouse, you know, whoever you're married to, have to understand that that's how it's going to be. Yep. You know, they're not going to, you know, let's plan on having dinner at 6. Nope, that's not going to happen, you know.
I remember telling you that Chueseng like was just so cool with that I would have to like ask for attention because
I know
he like was just so like gave me just so much time to study. I'm just like, but I still want like us time. Like, so he, you know, I'm lucky. He's fine with doing things on his own. And, you know, he has his own hobbies that he does too. So I don't have to worry about
And now he has baby.
Now he has baby. He's going to have baby for the entire time we're on the island. So.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about that then. Logistics of moving.
Of the island, yeah.
Logistics of the island. Let me just throw out some things, okay? Logistics of moving, passport, living arrangements, food, formula. Obviously, we figured that out.
Yeah.
Your breastfeeding. What the heck do you do for fun? And I know Val's going to want to go fishing, right? So, okay, so let's dive into that. Tell me more about this whole logistics of you moving down there.
Honestly, it's been a nightmare. We're excited. We have everything settled now, but when we first got the announcement that we had to move to the island, I like freaked out because I'm like, we're going to have a baby. Like, what if you can't come with me? Like, I'm going to take baby with me, but like, how am I going to study? Like, just can one of my sisters come? Like, so it was just a headache and there's a lot of unknowns and it stressed me out a lot. And even it's stressful now. But we finally got everything settled, hopefully knock on wood before we leave. But yeah, so Chueseng is able to come now. I don't know if I talked about that. On the earlier podcast, but
I don't know if you did or not, but you know it's okay. Yeah,
but he got approved to come with me the entire time I'm there.
Good.
So he's going to be taking FMLA, and then he's going to be taking PTO, and then just like a leave of absence.
In the city of Milwaukee, passed that new
paid parental.
Yes.
Yep. But that
good for him.
That runs concurrently with FMLA, so we can't take 12 weeks FMLA and then 6 weeks. That would be nice, but. Nope. But he'll be getting paid pretty much the entire time that we're there. So that's nice too. So we found a place.
Wait, but before you move on, the other question was baby. Baby's passport.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I can talk about that too.
So baby's passport. How did that? Because I know we're family, but you haven't shared any of this, and so it's all new to me. So
yeah, it was crazy. So I don't know if you ladies, you know, who are pregnant or who have been pregnant or who have kids know, but you don't get your birth certificate right away. You don't get the Social Security right away for baby.
And you need those.
You need those to get a passport. And so the entire time baby was like, once baby came out up until like now, pretty much, I was just like stressed and freaking out because I'm just like, okay, we don't have his birth certificate yet. We don't have his Social Security card yet. Like, how am I going to get a passport? How is it going to come in time? Like, am I going to have to go to the island before them? Like, are they going to even be able to come with me? So all these questions, on top of being a new mom, it was just like a headache. But we got his birth certificate. It finally came, I think, 3 weeks or 4 weeks after
good. Yeah.
We left the hospital. And so I ordered those, did overnight shipping. I got the birth certificates the next day. We applied for the passport, I think, June 10th. And we went to the post office. And so I went online and I did like their fill out the application ahead of time. And so it says if you don't have a Social Security card yet, just put zeros. So I did that. And then when I went to the post office, the guy was just like, oh, there's a problem. This is not going to work because you don't have a Social Security card for your son. I'm just like, well, it didn't come in yet. Like, what am I supposed to put? It said to put all zeros. So that like stressed me out as well. But he was just like, well, we can send it in still, but they'll probably just keep it like pending because they need the Social Security number. And so I was like, yeah, that's fine. Just go ahead and send it. And then I wanted to expedite it, but he was just like, well, there's no point expediting it because they're going to
Social Security card.
Yeah, they're not going to like expedite it anyway. So I was just like, okay, well, I just hope it comes in time because I think the waiting period is like 11 to 17 weeks or something. Like it was a long time.
Yeah.
And so we sent it in and then it still did not come in. So I think before July 4th, I called the passport, like status check number. And I had to wait for like almost an hour and a half. And so I was waiting on the phone, finally got a call back, or a person answered. And then I was asking them, like, do you think that I should can I change this to expedite? Like, am I going to get in on time? Do I need a social security number? And she was like, well, first, you don't need a social security number if your son doesn't have one yet. Like, that's fine. But I do recommend that you just go in person and make an appointment and get your passport that way, because your passport's probably not going to come in time for your trip. And I was just like, oh, okay, shoot, how do I do that? And so I didn't know this, but if you're traveling within 2 weeks and you don't have a passport, you can actually make an in-person like appointment to get your passport right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we made an appointment, and it was for last Friday, actually.
Did you go to Chicago?
Went to Chicago,
Okay.
yep. And it was literally like the DMV.
Seriously?
It was a horrible process. Like, I don't know. It was a COVID fest. Like, it was like people just waiting like at a DMV, like in a room. And then you have to go up to a window when you get called. And just the whole time, Chueseng and I were just like, what kind of process is this? Like, Chueseng was just like, they still haven't streamlined the process yet. Because like when we got there, the security guards literally had like printed off papers of your reservation number, and that's how they checked you in.
Yeah.
They looked at your number and they crossed it off. And I was just like, you guys don't have it electronically or like a scan? And they're like, nope. Yep. So then once we got through security, we were like sent to this DMV looking office. We had to wait in line. We brought baby with us, so we had a stroller. So
Oh, you took baby with you too?
he had to come,
Okay.
yeah. And then Chueseng waited in
Oh,
line.
he had to go.
Mm-hmm. Because
Oh.
of his passport, yep.
Wait, in this room with everybody?
Yeah, it's probably as big as this room, honestly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then just the windows, and so like literally, it's like they're probably this big, maybe a little bit longer, but that's it. And so they're just like, only one person can wait in line. The rest of the family has to go sit down. And so they're like, you have a stroller, so you have to sit in the front. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why that makes sense, because people are walking through the front the most, and a stroller in the front is just like more foot traffic. And so Chueseng waited in line. And then once he got to a window, I thought it was our turn. So I got excited because we were there, because our appointment was at noon. And then we went at 10 because they called us to come earlier. So we're like, okay, we'll come earlier. So we got to the window, and then they literally just took all the papers to make sure that everything was there. And then they gave us a number. So our number was A141.
So you waited just to get a number.
Yep. And then we had to wait for our number to get called. And so I was just like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And then finally it was our turn. It was literally less than like 10 minutes. We got everything squared away, paid for. We could have waited and got the passport the same day, but that would require us coming back around 2 to like 4. And we got done around like 12:30. So it took about 2.5 hours of us just like waiting there. And so I was like, nope, we want it mailed. And so they mailed it to us.
Did you expedite that too or no?
Yeah, we had to pay extra, even if it wasn't going to be expedited, if you wanted to get it mailed. And so we paid for it, and it came in.
When?
Did it come in today? It came in today.
It did?
Yeah, it came in today. Oh my gosh. I'm like trying to keep track of all this time. Like, yeah, it came in today. And so I had to call American Airlines. I had to update baby because infants ride free domestically if you put him in your lap. So you don't have to pay for a ticket for them. But I couldn't add him because he didn't have a passport, because we were doing international travel. So I had to call and add him on with his passport. And then I also had to pay a little bit of a fee. It was only like $40 in taxes or something, which is fine. So we finally have Anthem on our reservation now for our flight. So that's all settled. The flight's all settled. We have his passport. We have his social security card. That came in too. So I was able to update. I called the social security number too. I had to wait for like 40 minutes. I'm like, how do I track where my number is? And they were just like, we can't track it because we don't have a number to track it, because we don't even know what his social security number is. I'm just like, how do I know it's being sent to me then? Like,
You just got to trust it.
And exactly. I was just
US
like, this is so
Postal Service.
stressful. And so, but yeah, all that squared away, and we figured that out. So passport check.
Yes.
Finally. So we have our tickets. We're leaving next Thursday, and I still have to pack, but I can talk about living arrangements in Grenada. So when we first found out we had to move down there, I was just freaking out trying to figure out places to live, because it is expensive in Grenada, because they know they can charge students like a lot of money because students have to find a place to live anyways. So a lot of the nice apartments are like almost $2,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Whoa.
The nice ones,
Wait,
upgraded ones.
are these like 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms?
Yeah,
or?
they're like studios.
Just
Yeah,
studios, not even a bedroom.
No, they're tiny.
Wow.
But
okay.
they are, I mean, they are nice, but it's tiny. And I'm just like, this is not going to do it for me, Chueseng, and baby.
You better get a view.
Yeah, well, you do get a nice view.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I was just like emailing all these different apartment complexes, but I think they were more looking for just like students who didn't have families or didn't have any attachments, which I think is kind of lame. So I had to kind of search outward, like out from where campus is, because a lot of the nice apartments are near campus, but they're expensive and they're geared more towards just for like students without families. So that's one thing I didn't really like, is that there's not really any family friendly like apartments that I could find, or who got back to me, because no one got back to me. And so I was like, I'm just going to go on Airbnb and see what I find. So I literally went on Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I found this decent apartment. And so I contacted them, and I think the price was $1,100 a month for students, because the Airbnb price is a lot more expensive because they charge nightly, because anyone can stay there if they come visit. So I paid for a month through Airbnb, and then the host gave me a discounted price at $1,100 a month, which, is still expensive, but better than $2,000 a month. And we get 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. And it's kind of like a duplex. So we have a family living above us, but we're going to be on the bottom unit. And so she had a really great review. She's been really great, actually, so far, just through texting and connecting. Like, she offered to bring stuff over for me to ship, like diapers and things like that, because everything's really expensive in Grenada. And she was giving me all these tips and, asking me when I'm coming in so she can have a driver come pick us up so that we don't have to have a taxi. And so she's been great. And I'm really glad I found her on Airbnb, because she's just been so accommodating. Because she's from Grenada, but she lives in New York, and she also houses students in New York who are doing their rotations. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I like her. She's helping students out, and she's not just someone trying to like come after my money like some of the other apartment complexes in Grenada. But yeah, so she's very, very helpful. So I'm excited to get to her place and just settle in. But that's for living arrangements, so we got that covered.
How far is that from campus?
I think it's about a 6 to 7 minute drive.
Okay.
We do have a car.
Oh, you
so
do?
So we were able to rent a car.
Good.
Yeah. So I got on that right away, because I'm just like, if it was just me, I could just bus everywhere. But because Chueseng and baby are coming, I'm not going to bus with baby. So we got a car. So we're renting it for $400 a month, which isn't bad, because really
$400 a month only. Mm-hmm. That is cheap.
Yeah. And it comes with insurance.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
The car has insurance, not us, but the car is insured. And so, yeah, and those book out really quick too. So if you're not on top of all of this, like, you're going to end up getting stuck with not having a car, or getting one that's really expensive, or an apartment that isn't really nice either, because all the good apartments are rented out. So I got all this squared away, I think in like February already, March, like right when we found out we had to go and there wasn't any option of staying online. I like got on all this, because I'm like, we need to find all these things, or else we're going to be like SOL when we're on the island. So yeah, we have a car, we have an Airbnb, and we have a budget for food, because they do have like a supermarket there that has, all the food that we need. So it's not like it's a third world country where like, we're like scraping for food and stuff.
It's going to cost more, I assume.
Yeah, it'll just be more, because everything's imported. So going to take what we can from here, like all the Asian spices and stuff that I'm not going to be able to find down there, I'll probably bring. And yeah, we have that. And then formula, I know you mentioned. So we do feed baby formula as well.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, with the shortage, it's been crazy. But mostly he's breastfed. But recently, my milk supply has dropped, which sucks, being a breastfeeding mom. I think it's just because of all the stress and the moving. So stress can really decrease your milk supply as well. So we've been supplementing with formula, and we're actually using a UK brand because of the shortage here. Mm-hmm. So the UK brand is called Kendamil, and they have a lot more strict like requirements than the ones the FDA here. Yeah, which is like insane, because you would think we want to have really strict requirements for our infants. But yeah, so because of the shortage, we made a partnership with Kendamil, and then they're shipping their formula here for us to use now too. And they have really good reviews. So I bought those because initially baby was on Enfamil, NeuroPro, because that's
Yep.
what I got in the hospital.
Yeah.
But that is like really hard to come by too. But I was able to get a bunch actually from Costco. So I bought a bunch, and then I read about Kendamil, and then I tried it out with baby because he was very, very constipated on Enfamil. And so I switched to Kendamil, and he did really well on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we permanently switched him to that.
Is it cheaper?
It's about the
same?
same.
Okay.
Yeah, about the same. And then I actually sold all of my Enfamil.
Oh, you
NeuroPro.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just got rid of my last one today before we came here.
So are you gonna take that with you there, or are you gonna have it ship it there?
Nope, we're gonna take it.
Okay.
In our suitcase because we get 4 checked baggages. So I think it should work. We're gonna have one of just like diapers, and then one of baby stuff. So we're probably gonna put his clothes and all the formula and stuff in there, and then a bag for me, and then a bag for like kitchen stuff. And then Chueseng just says he only needs a carry-on for his clothes. So I'm
Seriously?
like, okay.
He's a guy.
Yep. And then I have a carry-on as well. And I'm going to be vacuum sealing everything. So hopefully that helps. And then we have baby's bag and then Chueseng's personal item. And then we have our car seat as well that we're going to bring with us.
Okay.
And then we're just going to check it in at the gate. So
Oh my goodness.
that's the plan. Yeah. So I have a week left because we're leaving a week from tomorrow to pack. And oh yeah, we're also keeping our apartment here. So
You're not subleasing it, are you?
Nope. So our lease ends in September here, and we would have to pay the remaining months anyways. So if we broke the lease, they would still make us pay because we would only have 2 months left anyways. So we're like, you know what? Screw it. We're just gonna pay the 2 months, or we're just gonna keep the apartment. And so I asked my landlord, and she was just like, "Yep, that's fine. We'll just make a new contract for you to stay through May." And they gave us a discounted price, which was nice.
Good.
But I mean, it wasn't a huge amount, but anything helps. So we're paying a discounted price when we're not here. And then when we come back in December, we'll still have a place. So we don't have to worry about moving all of our stuff into storage and then finding a place after we come back. So we're just
that could be a nightmare in itself, Jess. Yeah. All the stuff you have.
I know. So we're just going to keep, we're just going to keep our apartment. We're just going to pay for it, bite the bullet and pay for it. And then we'll just have family occasionally come over because Chueseng has his fish there. And then
Yes.
we're going to I bought painter's plastic, and we're going to
cover
everything and all that. So, yeah, that's the whole plan. That's where we're at right now. What do I do for fun? I see that on the list here. Nothing.
Nothing? I thought he's going to go fishing.
Oh, we're there. Yeah.
Like when you're there,
he's gonna
yeah.
Go. Chueseng has this very he's going to catch and cook something every day. But I'm just I don't know if you're going to do that. Sure, if you can, go for it. But I'm so we bought a baby, we got a baby carrier as one of our gifts. And so he tried it out the other day with baby, in front of him. And then he was pretending to cast his
you
reel
cannot do it with baby.
To see if he could cast the reel while holding baby, in the baby carrier. I'm just okay.
All right.
So
I'm assuming he's going to get his fishing pole there. He's going to.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. You can't take it. I'm surprised. Is he going to go scuba diving? Spearfishing? I mean, that would be something he should do.
Yeah, I think he would be into doing all that for sure. But scuba diving, you do have to take the lessons for it. And with baby, I think maybe only one of us could get certified. If Chueseng does, that's fine, because I don't want to my biggest fear is I'm going to go to this island and not focus on school because I'm going to be too busy having fun.
That's true.
So I don't want to do that. So all the fun stuff he'll do. But I need to pass this term because I'm not trying to repeat it again. Well, not again, but just repeat it.
Jess, here's the thing: you're going to be stressed.
Yes.
You're going to you need to find a way to de-stress.
Yes, for sure.
Right?
I'll have days of fun for sure, but I just can't let that become my focus.
That's true. Okay.
Even because I know it'll be Chueseng's focus because baby will be his focus, but he will at least have the time to go and explore the island and do what he wants to do. Just with baby. But yeah, and he's getting paid as well. So I'm you're living the life. Man.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. Wait, okay. And I was going to save this for the end, but are you going to post stuff for us to follow? Facebook? I know vauv doesn't use his Facebook like that, does he?
Not very much. No.
All right.
Nope.
As long as you guys are keeping us updated, I want to see what's going on.
Yeah. So our phone numbers aren't going to work because, we don't have service there, but I think they have Wi-Fi everywhere. So we'll be able to still connect and post and stuff. So I have that Instagram that
yes.
Put on the the last podcast. So I have kind of been slacking on that just because, with baby, I want to just spend time with baby and get ready for this move and recuperate. So I haven't really been posting much, but I'm hoping to post a lot more and update people on what I've been doing and the island life, because I think it'd be helpful to have just put something out there as a resource, because
For whoever's interested, yeah.
yeah, or just whoever's a mom too, because like has a newborn, because as a mom to a newborn, it was just hard figuring out what I needed to pack to go to the island and how to pack stuff. Like I looked up on YouTube how to vacuum package diapers, and there's nothing. Like there's vacuum packaging stuff, but
not diapers.
Not diapers. And I'm just like, why isn't there one? Like, wouldn't you think this would be one? But yeah, anyways. So thinking about doing something like that would be good content for other moms, because it would have been helpful for me. And also I think I want to put something out to help future moms that go to SGU figure out what they need to bring with them and how they can bring it with them. So
I mean, that's great. Just like your host for the Airbnb. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could be a great resource for whoever that's interested, and I mean, tips, tricks, whatever it is that even though you're just going to be there for a few months, but just the preparation.
Yeah, it's stressful.
I mean, that part alone, I'm sure it takes time too. So
yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad things are working out. I know when we first spoke about it several months back, everything was kind of up in the air, but I'm glad everything is kind of falling in place. Mm-hmm. So before I let you go, Jess, all right, I want to dive into medicine. Okay. And I'm not sure this was on my list for you.
It may have been.
I don't know.
It's okay.
So I'm not going to go into specific. Obviously, I'm not a clinician. I'm not anywhere close to where you're at. But one of the areas that I'm curious about are the soft skills in med school, right? Mm-hmm. You can learn about atoms. You can learn about cells and disease and all this stuff. But do they teach you how to communicate with your patients? Do they teach you how to de-escalate when your patient's upset at you because you're prescribing so-and-so that's not working? Mm-hmm. Obviously, are they going to teach you how to be empathetic towards your patients, dealing with the loss of a patient and stuff like that? Just for me, that's the soft skills, right? Do they have that?
So we do have, I don't like to say classes, because honestly, I think soft skills is something you can't teach. Like, it's just something that you have to go through and learn. Mm-hmm. And so we do have, certain classes that teach about empathy or diversity or how to deal with difficult patients, but it's kind of like a one class, you're like one and done.
Seriously, just one class.
Like last semester, I remember we only had one small group about dealing with difficult patients. So we all had to go through a scenario with a patient, like a real standardized patient, and talk through with that patient why they were so upset. So like I had a patient who had back pain and wants to get an MRI done like right away, because everyone that she's gone to has said that it was like just a minor pain. She can take medicine and then it'll like go away, but that hasn't helped her. So she just wants to get an MRI right away. And so my job was to like talk to her. This was a quote unquote difficult patient because she already has a one-track mindset of what she wants done, right? And so in medicine, it's not always like that. You can't just give a patient what they want without dealing with some of the drawbacks of it as well. And so that was just one small group where I had to talk to a patient about, why she wants the MRI, like, it's a lot more costly, just the benefits and the drawbacks. And so we had one class, but it was difficult because it was like we only experienced it once. And
wait, one class as meaning like it's one semester, right?
No, just one class. Like
serious?
One class, yeah.
Just one class,
yeah.
like one session.
One session, yeah.
No way.
Because we don't have like, it's not like college where we have different classes. It's all just one. Like the semester's just all one big class. You're just learning different topics within that one
I
thing.
see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but this is just one lesson, basically, just one
yeah. Well,
day.
this is small group, so they weren't even lectures. It was like our small group sessions. Like in college, you have your lectures and you have like your discussions. Yeah. So it was like a discussion.
Oh.
So it was like one discussion. And it was like one of our last ones. So it was one that a lot of people skipped because a lot of students save all of their skipping their discussions until the end, so that they can study at the end.
Okay.
Because I think we had like 49 total small groups or discussions, and you could skip 9 of them. And so without getting penalized, because there's an 80% participation rule. And so everyone always saves theirs. That's what I did until the last.
Okay.
So that they can study. But because baby came early, that kind of ruined my skips. So I had to attend this one. And because I was going to skip it too, because I knew that like these soft skills, it's great that they try to teach you it in class, but it doesn't help until you've actually done it in real time.
That's
honestly.
true. I think their purpose is to prepare you for the exams. These are not going to be on the exams.
No,
right? It's not like what do you do if John Smith comes in and he's complaining about this, but yet he's being a hard person about it. Like, they're not going to give you these scenarios. They're going to give you more hardcore scenarios,
like science
stuff. Yeah,
but it is kind of scary that because our class is so big, and this is just from my reading through texts and experiences with classmates in these small groups and discussions and lectures and stuff. But it's kind of scary that there are students who really don't find a purpose in being like empathetic or understanding of patients. And some of them are genuinely like confused, like why did I get points off for not having empathy? And I'm just like,
wow.
And I don't think they do it on purpose. I think like they genuinely are like wondering like why, I'm trying to just treat the patient. Like, why would I need to show that I'm empathetic? And I'm like, well, that is very logical. Yes. Like you are trying to help the patient, but you do need these soft skills because that's going to help your care a lot more in the long run.
Well, that's why they're not going to be like, they're not going to be the primary care person. I think those are the mentality where maybe they're researchers or they're behind the scenes or I don't know.
I always say it'll be a wake-up call when they start rotations because honestly, the first 2 years is just all books. But the last 2 years is you're actually working with patients in real time. And so that is what's going to shake a lot of people.
Trust me, coming from, Zoe and I, we do social service and we deal with difficult patients, or not patients, but their members, clients, whatever it is, all the time, right? So to sit there, just like the other day, yesterday I had someone getting really upset at me. Like, what did I do to you? I'm here to do my job. You're upset at the process, aren't you? And then I had to talk him through it. And he understood the process and he calmed down. So anyway, those are stuff that
you learn on the go.
You learn seriously.
You do.
You can go to LinkedIn and they'll give you videos to watch if you want to, but this is going to be something that you're going to do on your own.
Yep.
And, it's not going to be classes because that's something that I've always wondered with medical students. Do they teach this stuff? Because the person in front of you isn't robotic. It's a real person with emotions, with families and worries and whatever, and they're going to be upset at you. Right?
Yes, they are. And so that's why I wanted to work in healthcare before I went to medical school. Because
yes, you have that experience already.
I didn't want to be shocked when I start rotations and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this patient. And so it helps. I mean, being a scribe, I don't get the anger is not directed at me. It'll be directed at my physician, but I'm still in there experiencing, okay, this patient is upset. Like, how did my physician de-escalate it? And so I watched and observed it a lot.
You have to stay calm. I mean, I can imagine when I get yelled at, my blood pressure spike. I mean, I can feel my heart beat. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on, right? Because we're talking about people. Obviously, a lot of the patients or participants that I work with, they're a lot of low income and coming from rough neighborhoods. I mean, they're not going to hold back sometimes, Yep, so
that's true.
They can get really ghetto on you, and so you just have to make sure you're firm at least and still be polite.
Yes, I agree. No. Yep, these skills are not taught. They try to teach them, but no, you will learn them on the go.
Well, I know you, Jess, and I think you'll be fine. And so
Thank you.
I think a lot of us have kind of like a level head, and so we can probably talk our way through it. And so the other thing is this. Okay, so I'm going to move on so that we can we can get through some of this because I know I want to go see baby again. All right. Coming from my own Google search and YouTube, what are some of the, and from my own personal experience working at my job, all right, can you name, what do you think are the 3 top diagnoses that most people have? Did you guys learn that yet?
I feel like it's debatable, but
this might be rotational stuff that what is it that you think?
Well, diabetes.
Diabetes, yes.
Hypertension.
Yes. Those are the 2 I have.
Yeah, probably obesity or high cholesterol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I have chronic pain.
Yeah.
Right. So authorized back pain, sciatica, degenerative disc disease, stuff like that. So top 3. Honestly, when I work in the field that I work in, every time I look at a list of diagnoses, I'm guaranteed to see at least 1 or 2 of these. Always, all the time.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Unfortunately, all preventable for the most part.
Correct, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But let me give you this little tidbit, which I found out. high blood pressure, which is also called hypertension, right? There's a difference between hypertension and essential hypertension. Did you know that?
So there's secondary
Yes.
hypertension. There's essential. Yeah.
Essential hypertension, I wrote it on here, is not medical condition related. So it's not like, I don't know what that means, but it's not like, you have a condition and then you have high blood pressure. It's like, it's maybe based off of maybe the stuff you eat, like the food you eat, right? Anyway, that got me thinking. The word essential in itself, which means that, right? How could hypertension be essential? Does that make sense?
It's like a oxymoron. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you have? I have essential hypertension. Like I need to have it or something.
Yeah. No. The naming is always crazy in medicine.
Yeah. If you ever talk to a cardiologist, can you ask them that? Like, why is hypertension, why is it essential? Like, why can't they just name it something else? Non-essential hypertension. I don't know.
They'll just be like, it because of the first person who discovered it. Like,
that's true.
Gotta just name it how they want to name it. Like, that's generally how all these medical terms come to be.
Okay. My other one is, and we can go into more depth when you come back and you're a lot more knowledge, I'm sure. Reactive and preventative medicine, right? They don't teach you guys that, do they?
I mean, I think it's kind of like you kind of already know what it is, but there's no like class that says preventative and reactive medicine.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Because for me, reactive is more of, hey, I have a headache. So I take ibuprofen or Advil.
Yep.
Preventative is like, oh, hey, if you want to avoid having headaches, this is what you need to do. Right. So I'm more of preventative medicine than reactive, honestly. Yep. And I know, you remember, Jim? Did you know that Jim wanted to go into medicine, but he wanted to be more of a holistic doctor? Did you know that?
I know he wanted to go into medicine, but I didn't know so much holistic.
Holistic as in he focuses on one, like he's not like doing rotations or he's not doing like multiple patients. He's doing specifically care plans for a particular person in regards to what they eat, what they do, maybe exercise-wise. So it's more of a complete plan than, okay, hey, this is what you have. This is the specialty you need to see. This is medication you need to take, which I think it's more reactive than, hey, you want to avoid these things, joints, drink this or eat that,
Yeah.
So, all right. And then lastly, Jess.
I feel like it's something, I don't know.
I'm building up to it. I'm just kidding. No, lastly, okay. If you're to name one food, right, that we can eliminate from our diet that can solve a lot of these issues, hypertension, chronic pain, or maybe hypertension, diabetes, cancer, whatever it is, what one food do you think that would be?
Sugar.
Yes, Jess, you're on the same page. Yes.
You wrote it down on the paper? I wrote it down.
Did you see it?
No,
Did you cheat? No. Sugar. Yes, you got it. All right. That was my quiz to you.
Well, what if that wasn't the answer I gave?
Then I was like, you're wrong.
It could have been a lot of things.
Well, that's true.
It could be salt. It could be unsaturated fats.
But sugar is it, though, for me. At least for me. It could. Yeah. You're right. It could be debatable. Everything that we talked about could be, depending on who you're talking to, could be debatable. But sugar is it for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I talked to, I had a conversation with my kids the other day about this. I sat them down. We have family moments. And I told them to go into the refrigerator and to grab food items, packaged food items, right? And I told them, okay, let me show you how to read the nutrition.
Oh, gosh. You're one of those. No.
Because they need to know, right? And so the most important part of it, we went through top to bottom, right? We skip all the vitamin stuff. We just went to cholesterols and sugar.
Skip the vitamins. Those stuff you need.
The stuff that I'm trying to get them to avoid. But we sat them down. I sat them down and I said, the most important thing you need to understand is where how much concentration that you have of sugar in whatever you drink or eat. Like, for example, Coke has like almost like 60, 70% of your daily intake, right? It's like tremendously a lot, right? And it's all corn syrup too. It's not even natural sugar. It's corn syrup, which is even worse for you. So anyway, I sat down and I told him, you know what insulin is?
Educating them. Maybe you should be a doctor, Tilly.
No, but but the thing is this, Jess, I was thinking to myself, I love this stuff, okay? And I like to tell people, but I'm hoping that when you come back, all right, that you can educate me some more. I don't have to watch YouTube or Google it.
Well, I will tell you that it is still important to eat sugars too. Yes.
That's true.
Like everything in moderation for sure. I think the issue is when you indulge yourself too much and you don't offset it with exercise.
Yes.
People don't do that. That's why obesity, I said obesity is one of the the probably top diagnoses too, because we're sedentary a lot.
Here's my equation, right? My equation is the food intake, right, plus your exercise equals your overall health. I know it's a simple equation, but to me, that's true. That's what I told my kids. You're eating a lot, you're not moving a lot, then that's not good for you. You might not show it, but internally inside your body, you're going to find out pretty soon, you know? So if you're eating a lot, you're exercising a lot, then you'll be fine. Look at our brothers and sisters in Laos, right? I mean, they're eating carbs, sugar, they're eating whatever it is, right? But yet they're moving a lot more than we are, you know? So anyway, just my 2 cents.
And they eat more organically than we do.
They do. I'm hoping to get a nutritionist in here so that we can have some kind of conversation. I have one, but he has not responded yet, so I'm not going to call him out.
You should just study nutrition.
Well, I should.
That would be a good track.
Hey, do they have a class at MATC for that?
Probably.
I might want to do that.
I know that UWM you can major in nutrition. It's a degree.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to look into that. But at my age, I'll probably just do it for my own knowledge, to be honest, you know, just so that, hey, I went into it, you know, I know what I'm talking about instead of just watching YouTube and Googling it. So.
Well, you do learn a lot with that too. Like, I'm not saying like I think patients should definitely look on Google, do their own research, but like you said, take it with a grain of salt. Still be open to what your doctor has to say too, for sure. That's where the disconnect sometimes is. Patients just think they know a lot more because they saw a YouTube video or they Googled something. And yes, you learn a lot from that, but again, doctors have studied for like 10 plus years of their life.
That's true. Yes.
So that's throughout this pandemic, I'll just say that suddenly has been thrown out the window, and people know more than doctors now. And
because of Google and YouTube.
Yeah. And so that's what's been really frustrating just about being in healthcare is that you study for like 10 plus years. I just think of all the doctors who like dedicate their lives to studying all this stuff just to like be turned down by like a patient who watched a YouTube video saying that, you know, vaccines don't work or that COVID is a fluke. And we're just like, okay, we just studied this for 10 years plus of our life, but you know, that doesn't mean anything.
or I saw this doctor, and you don't know what kind of doctor.
Yeah.
And this doctor said X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh, okay. I know. I'll try not to be that person, Jess.
No, you're not. You're not. I'm just saying a lot of times people just, I think it's good. It's good to go out and like do your own research.
Well, the thing is this, you have to advocate for yourself.
You do, yeah.
You have to. And I.
But a good doctor will also advocate for their patient too.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, Jess.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to hold you to it. But you're right, because when I go in to see my doctor for my annual, which I do my annual, Lee doesn't, and I tell her to, and I tell him I do X, Y, and Z, right? And I do this, and I do this, and he's like, okay, good. My visits are very short, you know, because he knows where I'm coming from, right? And I'm not sugarcoating. I do this, I do that, I do keto, I do low carb, I watch what I eat, you know, very little sugar and stuff like that, which, you know, he's okay. And then the blood work shows it too, right? So that's what you need to do. The blood work shows it, you know, so anyway, that's just my little tidbit, you know. I'm hoping to get a nutritionist or someone to come in, or even a fitness guru, so I can chit chat with him about this, because I love this stuff.
I know. I just, you know, kudos to you guys for being able to like count all your calories and
I'm not counting calories. I'm not counting calories, but what I
track of everything. Like I just can't do that.
You know what I do? You know what I do? I check my blood sugar. I mean, not blood sugar. I check my blood pressure every day.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that, man. Like,
hey, listen. All right, it keeps me on track. You know, okay, I have this philosophy, right? Obviously, out of sight, out of mind. So if I see it every day, I know it. I weigh myself every day.
Do you know that you yourself could increase your own blood pressure by taking your blood pressure?
That's true, but it hasn't so far.
That's good. That's why we were like, just, I can say this because I work for a cardiologist, but you know, a couple times a week, sure. But like doing it every day and like, you know.
I'm doing my own social experiment.
About it. Because then like if you go to a doctor's office and then they take it and it's different, you like freak out and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
No, it's at home. It's like this.
Yeah.
That's how Grandpa is, you know.
I know.
Grandpa has that white coat effect.
White coat hypertension. Yeah.
Yeah. So Grandpa goes to the doctor. It's like 150 over something, and we go home and he's like, no, look, it's only 130. I'm like, oh well, what are you gonna do, right? We actually took his blood pressure to the doctor.
Yeah, the cuff to get it calibrated.
They don't. how they calibrate is that they just compare it to their own manual reading,
Yeah.
which was close.
Yeah.
So it was good enough. And so anyway,
But
thank
hey,
you.
if it's working for you, hey, go for it. But just saying, medically, maybe like a couple times a week only.
You know what, Jess? I can't wait for you to become a doctor. Would you be okay if I'm like, okay, Jess, you're gonna be my doctor, right? Or they won't let you. They won't let you do that because we're family.
Yeah, like legally I can't,
Ah,
but off the clock,
yeah, okay.
still can't. But
You can give you medical advices unofficially.
unofficially,
All right.
yes.
Well, hey, I want to talk to you when you get back. All right, I'm sure our listeners would know. I want to get your information again. Well, I'll go back to the old podcast and I'll look for that information. So whoever's interested in following Jess and her journey in Grenada, is that, and just to see where she's at, if she has time, she'll post it, and we'll see where she's, where she's at, and how she's doing, and hopefully when she comes back, we can catch up again.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe after I take step. So I'll be home in December, but
Okay.
I think I'll take step probably in March.
Okay.
And I think I'll be more at ease to talk instead
That's
of freaking out about having to still study for step and pass it, and then I don't pass it, and then I don't start clinicals. So probably after step. Then
Well, let's see if this podcast is still around.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It will be.
All right. Hey, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking around up to this point. If you're interested, seriously, if you're interested about med school, if you're interested about any of that stuff, I'm going to put Jessica's contact information below. Feel free to contact her. Are you okay with that, Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
definitely.
so she can, walk you through it, give her own experience as to med school, studying, dealing with stress, being pregnant, being a mom for the first time,
Giving
whatever
birth.
it is that we talked about up to this point. And so anyway, if you like what you're listening to, please consider subscribing. Please give it that thumbs up and share it with your friends. Hey, thanks. And I'll talk to you guys next time.